We've all heard that Japan is home to some of the longest living people on Earth. But what if I told you their secret has almost nothing to do with hitting the gym or running marathons? Yeah, the real reason is way more interesting, and honestly, it's something you can start doing today.
So, let me just ask you, when you think about living a long, healthy life, what's the very first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, it's probably intense, sweat-drenched exercise, right?
And that's really the heart of the puzzle we're digging into. On one side, you've got this Western ideal of high-intensity workouts, but on the other, you have the Japanese reality, which points down a completely different, much gentler path to a long and healthy life.
This brings us to what I like to call the longevity paradox. And when you see the actual statistics, well, they're pretty eye-opening.
Okay, get this. Official data shows the average life expectancy for women in Japan is nearly 90 years old. Men aren't far behind. It's one of the highest in the entire world. But here is where it gets really fascinating. The truly surprising thing is that people in Japan have one of the lowest rates of intense, gym-based exercise in the developed world. They live these incredibly long lives, but they're not gym rats. So the big question is, what in the world is their secret? Well, the answer is in exercise, not in the way we usually think of it. No, it's all about weaving constant, low-intensity movement naturally into their entire day. And what's really cool is how simple and, well, normal these activities are. We are talking about things like walking to the train station, always taking the stairs instead of the escalator, or biking to the local shops. These aren't grueling workouts. They're just constant, small movements that keep the metabolism humming all day long, burning fat without putting all that heavy stress on the heart and joints. It's a total mind shift, really, from dedicated exercise sessions to a life that's just active.
Of course, movement is only half the story. The other massive pillar is diet. And it's not about eating less, it's all about eating right. Japan has one of the lowest obesity rates in the world, and it's not because they're starving. It's because their traditional food is just naturally designed for health.
The traditional diet is amazing at doing two things: keeping your blood sugar stable and dialing down chronic inflammation. You know, those two things are at the root of so many major illnesses like heart disease and diabetes, and the Japanese diet just tackles them head-on.
So how do they do it? Let's break it down. We're going to look at the 5 core pillars of Japanese eating. These are the real, actionable habits that you can actually learn from.
All right, pillar number 1, and I'm going to bet this first one is going to surprise you.
That's right. One of their biggest secrets is eating cold rice. You know, like the kind you find in sushi. It sounds so weird, but there is some incredible science that explains why this works. So here's what happens. When rice cools down, its starches literally change their structure, and they create something called resistant starch. You can think of it like a special kind of fiber. It's resistant to being digested quickly, which is fantastic because it prevents those sharp spikes in your blood sugar. And on top of that, it acts like premium fuel for the good bacteria in your gut. So yeah, that simple piece of sushi is actually a powerful tool for your gut health. Okay, let's move on to pillar number 2. This is all about where they get their protein. The Japanese diet, as you probably know, is famously built around fish and seafood, not red meat. Fish is absolutely loaded with anti-inflammatory omega-3s, and it gives you really easy-to-digest protein. Red meat, on the other hand, which can cause inflammation, is eaten way less often. It's such a simple swap, but it has these profound benefits for your brain and your heart. Now, the third pillar is less about what you eat and much more about how you eat. It's really a philosophy.
It's a concept called hara-hachi-bu, and this is a practice that's just deeply, deeply ingrained in the culture.
And this chart illustrates it perfectly. It simply means eat until you are 80% full. By just stopping before you feel totally stuffed, you give your digestive system a break and you seriously reduce cellular stress. And modern science totally backs this up. It takes about 20 minutes for your stomach to send the signal to your brain that it's full. So by stopping at 80%, you're giving that signal time to arrive before you've accidentally overeaten. Pillar number 4 gets into something super important: how the food is actually cooked. In traditional Japanese cooking, you are going to see a lot of steaming, boiling, and grilling. You'll also see a lot of food served raw, like in sashimi. Now, what you won't see very much of is deep frying. These gentler cooking methods do a much better job of preserving the nutrients in the food and, crucially, avoid adding all those unhealthy fats.
And that brings us to the 5th and final pillar, which, honestly, just ties everything together so beautifully.
It's the bento box. A bento box is so much more than just a lunchbox.
It's like a masterclass in nutrition. By putting together a bento, people naturally get perfect portion control, and they ensure they're getting a balanced mix of carbs like rice, protein like fish, and tons of vegetables. It's a complete, perfectly healthy meal, all by design.
So when you step back and you look at all these pieces together, the constant movement, the mindful eating, the gentle cooking, you realize it's not just a list of tips, it's a philosophy. The secret to Japanese longevity isn't about some extreme, short-term effort. The real lesson here, the big takeaway, is that small, consistent habits that you practice over a lifetime are so much more powerful than short bursts of intensity.
Which brings me to this final thought. Learning from all this isn't about completely flipping your life upside down overnight. It's about taking small, sustainable steps. So the question I want to leave you with is this: what one small, healthy change are you going to make today?